Cable Bahamas has always been considered the innovator.
People can have confidence in Cable Bahamas as a mobile operator because of our past history. We've proven to the Bahamian community that we are in fact able to manage additional services as a telecommunications company.
Customers expect the best from Cable Bahamas.
The technology that we bring is revolutionary technology because we know that the Bahamian public, they deserve it, and Cable Bahamas is here to bring it to them.
We are ready. Turn us on.
PricewaterhouseCoopers out as proposed liquidators in the Bahamas matter. This as the developer calls the process abusive and oppressive. Donna Vasili's bail affirmed by the Court of Appeal. Plus, get ready for Peppa Pig. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Juanique and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, government has determined it would be inappropriate to proceed with provisional liquidators from PricewaterhouseCoopers after PwC notified government it had a conflict of interest given its previous involvement with China State Construction Engineering Corporation. This as Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder heard its winding up petition. Bahamar called the entire process abusive and oppressive. Kyle Joaquin reports.
This whole process has been lacking in good faith, and that indeed it's been abusive of this. I mean, there are a lot of interests which are at stake, and my client's investment in this country and concern for making sure that we get that place going and people back at work is one which is at the forefront of his concern.
That's how Bahamas attorney in winding up proceedings Maurice Glinton described government. That's how Bahamas attorney in winding up proceedings Maurice Glinton described government's move to seek the appointment of provisional liquidators. Glinton spoke with reporters outside of court today after Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder adjourned the matter to August 19th. His words were backed by a statement from Bahamar today calling the government's application misguided, oppressive, abusive, and without merit. It read, "We look forward to demonstrating those facts to the court. Moreover, it should be clear to the entire country that the government's actions do not serve the best interests of the Bahamas and its people. Those interests are best served by the completion and opening of the resort, a process that the winding up petition will only undermine and delay." Government's lead attorney in the matter, Peter Knox, told the Supreme Court this morning that after receiving a letter last evening, the government now finds it inappropriate to continue with having Gowan Bowe, Prince Ramming, and Garth Callow as provisional liquidators. According to Knox, the government was unaware the team from PricewaterhouseCoopers had done business for Bahamas contractor, China Construction America, and that China State Engineering Company had expressed reservations about PwC acting as provisional liquidators. He said while government was certain CCA wouldn't object, it feels it would be inappropriate to continue with PwC's team. Thus, Knox said government has already been in contact with 3 new prospects from Ernst & Young, Michelle Thompson, Karen Hutchinson, and Roy Bailey. However, Glinton questioned government.
Now we know, by the position with Gowan Bowe now having to withdraw, along with his other partner, that in fact they always existed, and they should have known. But this is all part of what it is we have to meet and have had to meet from the very beginning.
And then came the back and forth over an adjournment date. Attorneys for the petitioners sought to return as soon as possible. However, the attorneys for the respondents sought to have at least 3 weeks. Bahamar's attorney stressed to the court that he would like to be involved in the selection and vetting of those provisional liquidators and that they would need a few weeks to prepare. However, Knox called it unnecessary and asked that Winder give as early a date as possible because the matter is serious and urgent. State Minister for Legal Affairs Damian Gomez was not present for this morning's proceedings. And while government's attorney Peter Knox would not go so much into detail outside of court, reasoning for switching liquidators?
No, I said what there was to say in court.
Yes. He did explain that negotiations continue and government has been advised an agreement is expected very soon. The government has already sent a delegation to Beijing twice for Bahamar talks. Both times, negotiations failed. Just last week, Justice Ian Winder dismissed Bahamas' application to have its Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing in Delaware recognized by the Bahamas Supreme Court. However, today, Bahamas attorney Roy Sweeting informed the court of their intention to appeal that decision. Justice Winder said last week that he would give his reasons in 2 weeks. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
A Bahamian delegation's recent trip to Beijing to take part in Bahamar talks was a waste of resources, according to Free National Movement Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest. Dana Smith tells us more.
One has to ask the question, what exactly did the government go back to China for? If there was no deal on the table before they left, why did they waste the time and the money to go back to China to hear the same thing? Before they left, they knew that the basic issue that the Exim Bank had was that they needed a guarantee from Mr. Ismailian. If they did not have that, then why go back to China? To do the same thing over again?
One point of difference in the negotiations is Bahamar's refusal to provide its part of a guarantee required by Exim Bank. Rather, the resort CEO has proposed that government provide a sovereign guarantee. Turnquest said he doesn't see that happening.
I don't know why the government would be interested in signing that guarantee. I understand certainly the vested interest of the country in seeing this project complete, but why should the government of the Bahamas risk capital in a project that it doesn't have an equity stake in? If we're going to do that, then it must be with some equity in the project itself, as far as I'm concerned. We've given enough in terms of incentives, in terms of concessions on taxes and the like. And so if it were up to me, I don't think that's an issue that can be on the table at all.
State Minister of Legal Affairs Damian Gomez said Sarkis Ismailian's request for government to guarantee Bahamar financing is not even worthy of a response, and he dubbed the move somewhat strange. The Bahamar saga continues to drag on. Recent Beijing talks ended without a resolution, but this morning, government's attorney Peter Knox explained negotiations are continuing and an agreement is expected. Turnquest said Prime Minister Perry Christie has taken a back seat in the negotiations, with the Attorney General leading government's end of discussions. But ultimately, Turnquest said the success or failure will rest with Christie.
I think it's an interesting development that he then wants to take a back seat now. He has decided that he will make this deal, that he will be, this will be his legacy, and as such, the success or failure of the negotiation rests with him and his government, and so he ought to be intimately involved at this point. I believe that negotiations have reached that point where some final decisions need to be made, and only he and his cabinet can make those decisions.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
In other news, murder suspect Donna Vasily spent her final night at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services on Thursday after the Court of Appeal affirmed a judge's decision to grant her bail. Simone Davis has the details.
Just before 6 o'clock Thursday evening, Court President Justice of Appeal Anita Allen announced the court's decision to grant bail to 54-year-old Donna Vasily. However, Vasily was forced to spend one more night at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services because her sureties were unable to post bail because the Supreme Court's registrar had already closed.
The Crown had appealed the July 21st decision of Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs to grant Vasily bail in the amount of $200,000 with two sureties for the murder of her husband. Vasily had previously been refused bail 3 times. She was represented by attorney Muriel DeSeal and attorney Elliot Lockhart QC. NB12 spoke with DeSeal, who's currently in London. He said he's
well, both sides, both the prosecution and the defense, the accused person, have a right to appeal a judge's findings. But the only way that can be the case is that you have to establish that those findings were unreasonable insofar as the facts and the circumstances are concerned.
Justice Allen said bail was granted on the basis of medical concerns and Vasili's drastic weight loss. In her affidavit in support of bail, Vasili said she had lost 30 to 40 pounds during her 4 months in prison. It was also reported that her high blood pressure and underactive thyroid condition had worsened. Allen noted that the Crown had sought to explain the rise in Vasili's blood pressure as a side effect for her hypothyroidism, but had given no explanation for her weight loss. Based on this, Justice Allen said bail was granted on the basis of medical concerns and Vasili's drastic weight loss. In her affidavit in support of bail, Vasili said she had lost 30 to 40 pounds during her 4 months in prison. It was also reported that her high blood...
Yeah, she has to just abide by the conditions of her bail. She has to report 3 times per week, and she's been monitored. But these are the conditions which are put in place, not only for her, but for anyone would be released in custody. So society is guarded, society is not affected in any way insofar as her release is concerned.
Allen warned Vasili that she must return for her trial, to which Vasili agreed. Isaacs ordered Vasili to wear an electronic monitoring device, report to the Lyford Key Police Station, which is now closed 3 times a week, and reside on Ocean Drive in Old Fort Bay. Lockhart told the court that Vasili would live with her daughter, whose residence is around the corner from her home. However, Allen said they would have to make an application to the Supreme Court to vary the terms of her bail. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
From the crime beat, gunmen riding in a stolen vehicle shot and killed a 28-year-old man on Charles Vincent Street this afternoon, just 3 days after his birthday. Tears flowed freely on the crime scene as the man's relatives mourned his tragic death. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Roll, said the man was walking home around 2:20 this afternoon when he was shot multiple times to the upper body.
Persons in a black Honda Civic drove up. One of the occupants in this vehicle got out, pursued the victim, shooting him to the upper body. The man then drove off heading south along Charles Vincent Street.
Officers located the getaway vehicle on Miami Street shortly after the shooting incident. It turns out that vehicle was reported stolen by a Fox Hill resident this morning.
So we have a team that will be dealing with that vehicle from here and appeal to persons that would have any information with this latest homicide to reach out to us and help us advance this investigation here this afternoon.
This latest killing brings the murder count for the year to 89. Roll said it is still early to determine a motive. He also said the incident does not appear to be related to a multiple shooting on Key West Street, which left a 4-year-old girl clinging to life, or the recent murder of a 17-year-old boy. A teacher at C.H. Reeves Junior High School was reportedly attacked and robbed this morning while on campus by 2 gun-wielding assailants. According to school principal Greta Brown, the teacher was gun-butted after resisting and was taken to hospital. The victim's sister, Bernice Ferguson, was at the scene. She said more should be done to keep the nation's schools safe.
My thing is, she's on her job, and they came here to rob her. I mean, it's like teachers aren't even safe in the classroom anymore. What do we do to protect our teachers? Suppose students was in that classroom with her. That's what disturbs me. It could have been another student or maybe another teacher. Suppose they decided they wanted to kill her. Then what?
The incident took place around 7:30 a.m. in the school's science lab. Brown said the teacher, identified by her sister as Letty Strawn, had arrived to make preparations for the final day of summer school when she was accosted. Brown said she was robbed of her car keys and cell phone before security heard her cries for help and chased the assailants. However, they got away after firing a shot into the air.
She was gun-butted. Her face was bloody. I mean, it was just one mess. But she fight. My sister's a fighter. She fought. But now I know all of this is going to traumatize her.